Beaming live on a radio rope from a world near you, it's CKNWR radio station, servicing the city of Adobe skyscraper, the surrounding Atobiga County, and if weather permits, even further than that.
This week we'll be featuring an episode of This Evening's Show, originally aired on August 3rd, 1974. Episode number 137 features your hosts, John Starboard, Louier Mastodon, Deepak Halliday, Charlie Dust, and Ben Benjamin.
This evening show. It's this evening show. It's this evening show. It's this evening show.
Thanks. Welcome to this evening's show. We've got a really great show lined up for you, and tonight we're broadcasting live from King James's Palace Theater in downtown Adobe Skyscraper. First up, we're going to have a little bit of a history lesson, or a little bit of a visit from a historical figure from a history lesson. And if you all read your geography when you were in 6th or 7th grade, depending on which state you live in,
and if you listen to the beginning of this episode...
Yes, this week's episode, you'd know we're going to be learning about and listening about King James, one of the most historical figures in history, often noted as the landlord of Atobiga County, as well as for his many spectacular contributions to modern society.
King
Yeah, so King James was notorious in his day, but no one really knows why he acted the way he did.
I don't even remember him.
Yeah, a lot of historians don't even remember King James. But one of the most important things to remember about King James is he did exist. And he may still exist for all we know. Sure, he'd be upwards of 100 years old, but that's not unheard of.
Not unheard of, true. And this means that he may still own most of Adobega County, which was, or is, his kingdom.
Yes, and if you travel around Adobega County enough, you'll end up in an amazing land called Alamogordo. And if you're in Alamogordo, there's a couple of things you might see, one being animals, the other being hot air balloons. For all practical purposes, the only way to get to Alamogordo over the rocky crags of Multiple Mountain is to take a hot air balloon. It is an isolated and magical place.
Hey, and do you know what else is famous for being associated with hot air balloons?
Well, the hot air balloon itself is a famous commodity, being so light and land-friendly.
Excuse me, I should say, who else is famous for their association with hot air balloons?
John Doppler rode around in a hot air balloon for a long time, chronicling the world.
Precisely, John Doppler, the famous astronomer turned wanderer. He traveled about in a hot air balloon. You know, he took a pen and a stack of canary yellow index cards, and he wrote about things that he saw, and things that he heard, too.
I heard that he was kind of crazy in the head.
Well, he suffered from a tragedy, and he had a large and active mind. I always say it was sort of like a runaway truck or a tank that falls off the edge of a building, you know?
A tank that falls off the edge of a building, that you do notice.
Yes. Well, some people took notice that one of the great astronomers of our time took an early retirement and traveled the land in a hot air balloon. They made a tune. John Doppler in the around-the-world balloon is making his plans to circumnavigate the moon. He doesn't have money or even much room to lay down. John Doppler, the used-to-be tycoon, making his plans to circumnavigate the moon. He doesn't have money or even a spoon to eat a cereal with. He eats a cereal with. He eats a cereal with his hands. No one's sympathetic to the man in the burlap suit. They think he's pathetic, apathetic, or uncouth. John Doppler in the around-the-world balloon, making his plans to circumnavigate the moon. He doesn't have anyone to listen to. He turns his radio on, he turns his radio on, turns his radio on to preset number 2. No one's sympathetic to the man in the burlap suit. They think he's pathetic, apathetic, or uncouth. John Doppler, the around-the-world balloon, making his plans to circumnavigate the moon. Oh, he doesn't have money or even a spoon to eat a cereal with. He eats a cereal with, eats a cereal with his hands.
That was recorded in Alamogordo during the South Atobega Balloon Festival that was really popular in the 1970s.
It's all about second chances, really.
It's all about second chances. That's very important. Now we've got, on the next segment here...
Today is Thanksgiving, when the independent people and the citizens are glad to each other.
Oh, and who could forget the first Thanksgiving when cultures were discussed over a vat of turkey pudding? Yes, many gains were made in soothing the tensions between such disparate groups.
It's true, the independent peoples, the Indians as they are called, do not appreciate all of the laws and customs of the state citizens. Much of it has to do with road traffic laws and dietary restrictions.
Yes, and in honor of these sentiments, we're going to have an Indian on the show later as a special honored guest. He will tell us about something that he finds important.
Hey, you know that I'm a real-life Indian?
Yes, but you are not an honored guest.
Yeah, I'll tell you, if these so-called honored guests are saying anything that doesn't jive with me...
Well, we can only assume that you will.
Here it is, Thanksgiving.
The Indians were there on the first Thanksgiving. They passed around the dinner, they passed around the giving. The Indians were there on the first Thanksgiving. They passed around the dinner, they passed around the giving. The Indians were there on the first Thanksgiving. They passed around the dinner, they passed around the trimming. The Indians were there on the first Thanksgiving. They passed around the giving. Indians were there on the first Thanksgiving. They passed around the dinner. They passed around the giving. The Indians were there on the first Thanksgiving. They passed around the dinner. They passed around the trimming. Indians were there on the first Thanksgiving. They passed around the dinner. They passed around the giving. The Indians were there on the first Thanksgiving. They passed around the dinner. They passed around the trimming.
Thanksgiving, thank you. Thank you for that first Thanksgiving rendition made in 1975, only 5 years ago. And now we have a special invitation guest. He runs the deli.
He owns the deli.
He does own the deli.
He is the deli in the Adobe skyscraper, ladies and gentlemen. Matt Slime Deli. He makes cold cuts, he makes all sorts of slimy shit, and he's here to talk about it.
Oh, hey, yeah, I'm Matt Slime wherever. What? Yeah, whatever.
Matt, we appreciate you coming on the radio show tonight. I know you have a lot of
Oh, that's fine.
business opportunities, I guess.
What? No, I
A lot
don't.
of business opportunities you'd like to expand into.
Well, yeah.
But we have a couple of basic questions for you. Has your name always been Matt Slime?
Well, it's, well, yeah, I mean, the short answer is yeah.
We appreciate short answers here.
Hey, I know you do.
The only thing we'd really like to know is, what makes a Matt Slime Deli sandwich special?
Well, if you've ever seen Nickelodeon, it's sort of like a Hey Arnold type of sandwich where you have like Hey Arnold sauce on it. Yeah, so what we do is we take cartoons and we like sort of mix with mayonnaise, a little bit of ketchup, put it on our sandwiches, and I mean we don't cook anything on it. That's sort of part of it. Okay, so the bread's made out of trash. Chips are made out of old carburetors we find in the junkyard, and also whenever we give it to you, you don't ever actually get it. So that's sort of part of it. That's what makes it a Matt Slime Special. Maybe you could be my first customer. Welcome to Matt Slime Deli. How can I be of service?
Matt Slime is making a name for himself.
Matt Slime.
Matt Slime will always accept food stamps.
I started this deli in 1974.
Matt Slime is a very bright entrepreneur.
I wrap all my sandwiches in different colored construction paper.
Matt Slime is a guy you wanna make friends with.
No, you don't want to make friends with me. I never come out of my house.
Matt Slime. Matt Slime. Matt Slime. Matt Slime. Matt Slime. Matt Slime. Build me a sandwich with lots of salami. Build me a sandwich with lots of bologna. And build me a sandwich with lots of turkey. And build me a sandwich. Build me a sandwich, Matt Slime. Here in the Deli Labs, we've been building sandwiches. We've been researching for days and years. We've been researching how to build the best sandwich for you, the customer. Now that you're here, we'd like to tell you one more thing. If you'd visit Matt Slime Deli, you'd really like our stuff. Matt Slime. Matt Slime. Matt Slime. Matt Slime. Matt Slime. Matt Slime. Matt Slime.
thinking?
Building. Parking.
Yeah, he built this place. The ground up. Don't forget that now. If you see something miraculous, kinda cool. Probably designed that too. Now, he's thinking.
Well, that song goes out to all the veterans out there and all the people who work in the street. A lot of those people are granddads. Did you know that? Well, we try to teach you something every night on this show, and this evening, we're trying to teach you something else.
This evening's show is trying to teach you something, and if you pay attention...
And if some of it's not even true.
Well, yeah, but if you pay close enough attention, you might just learn. That's what my dad always taught me whenever we were filing nails. We'd take 'em out of coffins down by the graveyard, and he'd say, "There's no sense in wasting these. They just belong to dead people." Oh, yeah. But if you listen close, you might just learn something.
And tonight you can pay special attention to our next guest, Dr. Elvis Mamoud, an encryptologist at the Adobe College of the Desert, here to tell us about mummies and peering into a mummy in the most correct and scientific way. Doctor, care to elaborate?
Hello, everybody. This evening I have been abusing of some substances. Let's put it like that. Probably you would be having dreams about elephants or dreamings about dolphins. I, in particular, dream about cactuses. But the good ones, not the ones that hurt you. All of these words are coming because I eat some special cactus today. How do I appeal to that?
Well, you can always tell us about a mummy. You know, the thing about opium is that it's a natural preservative, kind of like a formaldehyde. And the thing about formaldehyde, you know, the ancient Vaz-Chapas and other ancient cultures use it for making mummies. Which leads us right into our next segment, which is about taking care of mummies and mummy safety and other mummy concerns.
Yep, the mummy safety segment. Yeah.
Yeah, how to protect yourself and how to create mummies safely.
How safe do you need to be around mummies whenever you're creating one? Whenever you still have a live mummy, you know what I mean?
I actually don't know what you mean, but whenever mummies are alive, they're usually kids at that point. But after the chemicals that you're using, you're going to be using lots of cream soda and you're going to be using lots of Lysol and other household chemicals. You know, they're pretty dangerous if you don't know how to mix them together. So while you're in the process of mixing, you should wear gloves.
Yeah, you know, I got a bunch of licorice at home. Do you think I could preserve anything with that?
No. You can't use licorice to preserve anything, but you can make a licorice mummy.
Let me tell you something one more. I met a professor back at the car wash that was studying mummies, and he said that back in the time when there were no crash dummies, they used mummies. They used crash mummies.
They used mummies as crash dummies?
Yeah. Precisely why that's precisely why you see all those appendages.
That's why you always see all sorts of appendages rolling all over the ground when you're doing a crash test, because mummies are loose, you know? I mean, you're supposed to pack them tight, but you're supposed to not pack them too tight. Otherwise, you know, they'll just break. But if they're in a car wreck, they're going to roll.
Yep. So that ends our mummy segment and begins our trumpet session. Thanks for joining us, Dr. Mamoud.
Yeah, goodbye.
Just like that, that's our first trumpeter. His name is Art Zandifer, worldly recognized as a world-class trumpeter.
Yeah, it's widely known that he influenced Bach. He popularized the style of jazz known as wake-up jazz.
Remember, if you'd like to vote for Mr. Zandifer for Best Trumpeter of the Evening, please send a self-addressed and stamped envelope to 100-282-3883 Adobe Skyscraper, Wonderful Land, DD 66866.
Forgot a 6.
6. Now, our next guest trumpeter comes all the way from down south. His name is Gorton Highroad, and he makes his living doing trumpet acts. He does circus acts. He does high wire acts. Mr. Highroad's also been compared to other great acts of the trumpet, such as Don Davis. Mr. Highroad, if you'd like to vote for him, just text his name on your envelope.
Yeah, you should probably vote for me.
That's Mr. Highroad. Now the next trumpeter is...
It's Stephen Greyhorse. He's here all the way from Iceland, a great trumpeter from the Iceland, Scandinavia parts. It's really difficult to be a trumpeter from Scandinavia, but here he is, Stephen Greyhorse.
You know, I gotta ask, what effect does playing the trumpet have on your libido?
We've never have so many trumpets, and we do it with what we want. We like to play too. This is a song I wrote when I was in college called Yes, Fun, which means I stay up so late.
That's really great, Greyhorse. Greyhorse, thank you for that. Now that we have all three of you with us today, do you think we could get you to play some sort of melody or some sort of thing together?
Yeah, we have this song we've been working on the other day called Dictation.
So that's the 3 best trumpeteers in the world with the original song called Dictation. We're going to break for a quick commercial. We hope that you'll come back to listen to us.
Hey, yeah, guys, I'm not gonna be back after the break, so goodbye.
That was Luther Dandrop. He's our trumpet segment producer, but he also has to get home and take care of some carpentry business. Speaking of which, this is Daniel Thompson from the Carpentry Business Syndicate in Rawlsville, Kentucky, here to give you our commercial for the day. Daniel, please. We got all kinds of wood here in Kentucky, all kinds of wood. You want some lumber? We got treated lumber, we got mesquite, we got some burning firewood, we got lots of things you can do with the wood.
Excuse me?
What's that?
You got burned firewood?
Burned firewood? We sure do.
What the heck am I gonna do with burned firewood, man?
Well, whatever you need to do.
I ain't gonna pay for that shit no more. I paid for that shit last year. And you know, I burned it. Fuck.
Okay, thanks for that. Now, let's welcome our next guest to the show, the actual Indian we told you about earlier.
It's a real Indian on a real show. He's drinking tap water, by the way.
I am a real Indian, and this is my first time on a show. I'm really glad that you came, because today my name is Sexson Ryesmit, and I've got some things to teach you. You see, this is how you build a canoe. Part 1. You take one side of a tree, and you wish that it wasn't there. And then you take the next side, and you cut it like it wasn't even there. And we're going to illustrate that for you here in song on the second part of the show, called Canoe Building 302.
So thank you for teaching us about your watercraft construction procedures.
And now it's time to say goodnight. Turn the dial, change the lights. We've made our beds in the back of our heads, and it's not getting later than it is right now when the wall clock says, well, here we go. It's not getting later than it is right now, and when it's time, we always know. Here's the time we say goodbye from the depths of ourselves, from the edge of our eye we say. Now it's time to wait. Put your pencils down. And now it's time to go.
Thanks for joining us again tonight. This is John Starboard.
Deepak Halliday here.
Just Charlie Dust.
And Benjamin.
And Louis saying goodnight. May your calms sleep soundly.
It's this evening show. It's this evening show. It's this evening show. It's this evening